Welcome to the Tech Room channel. Since this is my first video, I'm going to first tell you a little about me and a little about what the Tech Room is all about. I have been working with technology in a whole since I was a child. I would tinker with various electronics lying around my house and tear things apart just to see how they work. Around 9 I received my first computer and started making my first programs in BASIC. 17 years later, and I have now learned multiple languages such as C, C#, Python, PHP, CSS, JavaScript, Java, Ruby, Lua, some others, and even some languages that no longer exist. I have server admin private gaming servers, I've created large business networks, worked with game design, ran entire gaming communities, owned a small electronics repair shop, created large commercial products, picked up electronics engineering, and even dabbled in 3D design. Pretty much if you name something to do with technology, I have probably done something with it. So now you probably want to know what the Tech Room is going to be. Well, it is going to be a compilation of small projects and ideas I tinker with broken down into an easy-to-digest form. I see the Tech Room becoming the go-to place to learn something new, or just to pick up a how-to on whatever project it is someone may be working on. Now that you know a little about me and a little bit about what the Tech Room is, how about we get on to the first episode? Okay, so episode 1 is going to be about hacking the old 3DS. This also includes the 2DS and the old 3DS XL. Now I have to stress that it can only be done on these systems. The new 3DS and the new 3DS XL, the one with the colored buttons and the extra thumb pad, will not work. If you try to use these steps on this device, it will brick it. Do not attempt that. There are guides out there, but I will not be covering them as I do not have a device to test it on. We're only going to be covering the old 3DS, the 2DS, and the old 3DS XL. However, you need to be on a specific set of versions, generally 10.3, 9.2 or lower, as anything beyond 9.2 and below 10.3 won't work. This has only been tested on 10.3 and 9.2 and below. Now, what this hack is going to do for you is it's going to enable you to run homebrew, which are applications made by users and not developers. Now, there's not very many games out there, but the applications like the FTP, phone services, other variety of things, there's tons of things out there that you can use. So all that's unlocked, but you also gain the ability to back up your own games and, of course, download games from the internet and install them without any checks. It basically allows you to pirate games. Before we begin, there is a disclaimer, and that's basically that the Tech Room and Tempest Dev are not responsible or liable for your actions and the repercussions thereof. That falls entirely on you. Only you are responsible for your device and what happens to it. That means if you mess up, that's on you, not me. If you get caught doing something illegal, that's on you and not me. If you break your device and the world ends, again, that's on you and not me. I'm just providing a tutorial on how to do this. Things may go wrong, things can go wrong, and you just have to accept that that is a possibility. Furthermore, the Tech Room and Tempest Dev do not support the act of piracy. This is for educational purposes only. You are liable if you do something illegal with this, like I said before. We are not responsible for your actions. You are. Also, just so you know, this is a 3-part tutorial, and the reason is that altogether, this is over an hour long. This tutorial is just huge. The first part will cover downgrading 10.3 old 3DSs. Okay, now on to the fun part. But before we get into the actual hacking, there are going to be a few files that you need. One is the 3DS SD files. These are a group of pre-compiled SD cards. Basically, they're a grouping of files zipped up for you, so you can just put it into your SD and be ready to go without hunting down each individual file, because it does get to be a pain after a while. These things are all over the place, they're poorly documented, the information is scattered throughout forums that are just filled with trash posts. Everything is compiled here for you in a nice, easy, ready-to-go package. The second is a group of miscellaneous copyrighted files. Basically, there's a patch for the firmware, so you can play virtual console games. There's another that allows you to boot up RX tools. There's one that allows you to decrypt files. all these are files that I can't provide you. They're technically copyrighted and technically illegal to transmit through the internet. However, what I did do is in the first file include a list of instructions on what files you need and how to go about finding the other files in an easy to find way. You're not going to be struggling to look for these. It's pretty straightforward, but again, there are no direct links in this video, in these files, nothing. There will never be direct links, and I will never hand out these files. So please do not ask in the comments, and do not ask other people to give you these files as well. It is illegal. Okay, as you can see, I have all the files already downloaded and ready to go. You also probably see a folder at the bottom that says SD card. For now, this is going to act as my SD card. The reason for this is because I can't follow these instructions with you. If I do, I'll either brick my system or erase my mod, making me have to reinstall everything, recover my saves. It's just a pain, and I really don't feel like dealing with that. So, I'm going to do it this way. All the steps are going to be exactly the same, and you'll get the exact same results. That's fine. So to begin, we're going to extract all the zip files into individual folders. That way we can easily find which ones we need later on. Now you're going to see that I'm using WinRAR. Of course, you can use WinRAR, 7-zip, or any other software that doesn't change the files whatsoever. No encoding, no corruption, nothing. It has to be exactly how I zip them up. As long as you got that, you're good to go. Now, the next step is only for people with 10.3 3DSs. Anybody who's 9.2 or below can just skip this and go right on to the next section. You'll need to wait for part 2 of this tutorial. So, 10.3 people. The reason why you need this is because you can't run the exploit. You can't hack your 3DS in the current state. You need to downgrade to 9.2. This will allow you to use the hack like everybody else and continue on with the process. But in order to do that, we need to do a little setup here first. So you're going to see a folder called 10.3 Downgrader. Go ahead and go into that folder, and you're going to want to grab all the files inside of there, and you're going to want to copy them over to your SD card. Very importantly, it has to be a clear SD card, nothing on it. If you already have an SD card for your 3DS and you have stuff on there you don't want to lose, like saves or games that you have downloaded, or even pictures, use a different SD card, because this will erase it. Though most of your saves and everything are going to be gone anyway, because we have to format your NAND afterwards, which makes all your saves and all your games completely invalid. Though they should, in theory, work with the NAND. I've never tested that, but I've heard success stories from it. So, go ahead and copy all those files to your SD card, put them into your 3DS, and go ahead and turn it on. Okay, after you start up your 3DS, you're going to get a notification saying it's setting up the SD card. That's fine, that's normal. After it gets loaded, what you're going to want to do is at the top left there's a little settings icon. Go ahead and click that, and then see where it says change theme, click that. Of course, when it goes. Now, as you can see, I got an error. That's fine. You won't get an error. It'll just say that it's setting up the themes for the first time, or it just might take a little longer to get in than usual. That's fine. But once it gets in, it'll set up your themes folder. Go ahead and close that out. Shut the 3DS off. Take the SD card out, and go ahead and put it back into your computer so we can go to the next step. Okay, now for this part, we need to install the software database. Or that's what I believe it's supposed to be. The problem with this is that it's encrypted with the 3DS's keys. So every time you restart your 3DS, or not restart, format it, or every time you go to a new 3DS or whatever, you need to generate a new set of software titles. I don't know how it does this or why it doesn't do it by default, but we got to kind of trick it into doing so. So what you're going to want to do is open up your SD card, and you're going to see a folder called Nintendo 3DS. Go ahead and go into that, and then you see where it says date modified. Go ahead and click that until it sorts it oldest to newest, and then you're going to get a folder right at the top that's a random stream of numbers and letters. Go ahead and go into that. Go into that one, and you're going to have a folder called ext data. Now what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go back to where you have all the files extracted to, and you're going to want to grab a copy of the DBS folder inside the 3DS hacking folder and copy that next to the ext data folder. Has to be next to it, not in it, next to it. Go ahead and close that out and take the SD card out and put it back into your 3DS and start it up. Alright, now after your 3DS boots back up, go ahead and click on that little icon on the top left. You have to excuse me, I lost my stylus. Scroll to the bottom and you're going to see something called System Settings. Go ahead and click that and it'll boot into the settings, of course. When it loads up, you're going to see a little icon called Data Management. Go ahead and click that. Click on Nintendo 3DS and then click Software. I'm not actually going to click it because it'll actually mess something up. So when you click it, you're going to get an error stating that there's something wrong with the database and it needs to recreate it, or something along those lines. I don't quite remember how the error goes, but go ahead and let it do what it needs to do. That's normal behavior, and it's recreating your database file for you. This is how we tricked it into creating a new one. We basically put in a bad corrupted file, basically just an empty file. It reads it as corrupted and repairs it. Simple as that. After you're done, go ahead and shut your 3DS off, and we'll get to the next step. Okay, so this step is really quite simple. We're just going to throw the SD card back into the computer. As you can see, there's still the Nintendo 3DS folder there. Go ahead and copy that somewhere safe. I'm going to copy it to the folder where we have the other files. This is so we have a backup of this when we need it in the future. Okay, now the folder that we extracted the update to, 9.2.0-20 full, we're going to want to copy the contents of that folder, and we're going to want to go over to the SD card, and we're going to want to paste it right into the SD card. This is the update to 9.2. This is what we're going to be downgrading to. Now that we have that done, go ahead and take the SD card back out. And by the way, there's going to be a lot of this. And go ahead and put it back into the 3DS and start it up. Now we get to the hacking. This is going to be fun. Okay, so first thing you're going to want to do is start the camera by hitting the left button and the right button, the shoulder buttons, until that comes up. Of course, I get an error because my SD card's not in, so I can get back to the system land. And when my camera focuses, there's a little icon on the bottom left that looks like a little QR code. Go ahead and click that until it finally goes, and it's going to start scanning for a QR code. Now you're going to have a file in the 3DS hacking folder, and it's going to be called qrbrowserhacks.png. Open that up, search for it, and go ahead and get that to scan. Afterwards, it'll load up the browser. Sorry, I can't show you this part, but it will load up, and you're going to see a little itty-bitty slider bar to the very top left of the bottom screen. Go ahead and scroll up there and zoom in all the way by hitting the little magnifying glass with the plus in it, and try to get that little slider all the way to the right by tapping the very far right side of that little bar. Just keep tapping until it goes. The screen will go yellow, it'll go green and red, and it'll flash different colors. You'll get some text, and then a menu is going to load up. This is normal behavior. Don't worry. As long as you can get to that menu, you're fine. If it crashes, don't worry. Restart the 3DS and keep trying until it goes. Sometimes it takes 3 or 4 tries, maybe more. Okay, once it starts, you're going to be at a menu like this. Go ahead and click the icon that says Menu Hacks, the one I'm currently trying to click on right now. Once you're in that, you're going to get a menu like this. It's going to look like a DOS prompt. That's fine, that's normal. Go ahead and choose Install. Follow the instructions, let it install, and when it's done, go ahead and hit the B button and hit Start. You'll go back to the menu you were at. What we just did was we installed Menu Hacks into your theme. What this does is every time you go to boot up your 3DS, it's going to boot into this menu. That's good, because this next step tends to fail a lot. It's downgrading. For some reason, however they designed the exploit, it's not very stable. It constantly crashes. It took me anywhere from 100 to 150 tries to finally get this thing to go through. So let's begin and go through this grueling process. Sorry I can't show you this step. Again, this could damage my 3DS. So go ahead and go into the updater. Once you're in that, you're going to get an option to downgrade. Go ahead and choose downgrade and keep following the instructions. Now, very important, do not shut your 3DS off. Never shut your 3DS off when it's actually doing the downgrade. Once you get to the part where it says gathering information or gathering CIAs or whatever it is that it says, never shut your 3DS off unless 30 minutes has passed and nothing has changed. Otherwise, just let it go. Now, up until the point where you get to downgrade, you're going to see steps about how it's hacking this or doing that. If it never gets to downgrade, just restart the 3DS and keep trying. Just keep trying. It takes forever, but it eventually will go, and it is definitely worth it in the end. So once you get that done, and it'll be a while, go ahead and come back and we'll get started on actually modding your 3DS, because you will be successfully downgraded. Hey guys, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed today's video, I invite you to subscribe or check out my channel for more videos.